most toxic thing an in-law has ever said to you? Richard pulled out his checkbook at our anniversary dinner. $20,000, he wrote, sliding it across the white tablecloth between the wine glasses and breadbasket, for an abortion and a quiet divorce. I was 12 weeks pregnant. We told him an hour ago. My husband James stared at the check like it might explode. His father had always been cold toward me, but this was something else. Richard explained calmly that I wasn't suitable genetic material for his family line. Wrong background, wrong education, wrong everything. He'd had me investigated, he said. My father's bankruptcy, my brother's drug arrest from 10 years ago, my student loans, my mother's mental health struggles. All of it compiled in a folder he produced from his briefcase, right there in the Michelin-starred restaurant he'd chosen. The waiter approached. Richard waved him away without looking. James found his voice, asked his father what was wrong with him. Richard responded that he was protecting the family legacy. 4 generations of doctors and lawyers, not waitresses who got lucky. I hadn't been a waitress in 3 years. I was a nurse practitioner now, but Richard only saw what he wanted to see. He increased the offer to $30,000 when neither of us moved, then 40, said it matter-of-factly, like negotiating a business deal. The other diners were starting to stare. Richard didn't care. He was used to getting his way with money. James tore up the check. 4 pieces, then 8, then 16, scattered them across his father's salmon entree. We left, but Richard didn't stop there. The calls started the next morning. Not to James, to me. Private numbers I couldn't block. He'd hired someone to find out about the miscarriage I'd had in college with my ex. Threatened to tell James I was damaged goods, who probably couldn't carry to term anyway. I'd already told James years ago, but Richard didn't know that. He showed up at my work, sat in the parking lot, never approached, never technically violated any laws, just sat there in his Mercedes, letting me know he was watching. My supervisor asked if I needed security. I said it was a family issue. Then Richard made his real move. James worked for a company that did business with Richard's firm. Major contracts worth millions. Richard threatened to pull everything unless James's company fired him. Conflict of interest, he claimed. His son couldn't work for a vendor. They let James go with a generous severance to avoid the mess. But every job James applied for suddenly wasn't hiring. Richard's reach was long in our city. Investment banking was a small world. We moved 3 states away, started over. James took a job making half his previous salary. I worked until the day I delivered, covering our insurance. Richard hired a lawyer to challenge our fitness as parents before our daughter was even born. Claimed we were financially unstable because he'd made us that way. The case was thrown out, but it cost us thousands we didn't have. He sent gifts to the hospital when Emma was born. Designer clothes, a $10,000 stroller. The card said, for my granddaughter, despite her circumstances. We donated everything to the NICU. Richard's wife Helen finally contacted us when Emma was 6 months old. She was leaving him. 40 years of marriage, but watching him destroy his own son had been her breaking point. She documented everything. The bribes, the job interference, the investigators, even recorded him on the phone with his lawyer, discussing ways to get custody. She used it all in her divorce. Richard lost half of everything. The house, the portfolio, the firm he'd built. Helen got it all, and the first thing she did was set up a trust for Emma. $5 million Richard couldn't touch. He tried to contest it. Spent 2 years in court, lost every appeal, spent another fortune on lawyers, started drinking, lost his position at the firm. The last time I saw Richard was at a grocery store. He was buying cheap wine. His suit was wrinkled. He'd aged 10 years in 2. He saw Emma in the cart, 2 years old by then, his eyes and James's nose. He started to approach. I stood between them, didn't say a word, just stood there. He looked at me, then at Emma, then back at me. Something broke in his expression. He left his cart in the aisle and walked out. Helen sends birthday cards, visits once a month. Emma calls her grandma. She asks about her grandfather sometimes, when she sees other kids with 2 sets of grandparents. We tell her he's not well. It's true enough. Richard had a heart attack last year. Survived, but barely. Lives alone in a 1-bedroom apartment. Still sends checks occasionally to James's office. $50,000, $100,000. Apologies written in dollar amounts. James shreds them, mails back the pieces. The trust Helen set up is worth $8 million now. Emma will never want for anything. Sometimes I wonder if Richard knows his ex-wife gave our daughter more than he ever could have. That his attempts to remove me from his family tree only resulted in cutting himself off at the roots. The nursery is painted yellow, by the way, the color Helen suggested. She said it was Richard's favorite, back when he still knew how to love things more than money. Emma loves it too.